Welcome back to Every Widow Thing. I'm Lacey, and I'm here with Whitney, Kira, and Holly.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
So today we're going to talk about firsts. So I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that and how hard those are. And we'll also talk a little bit about Father's Day, what we've done in the past to celebrate our husbands and also maybe our own fathers.
Yeah, good.
Anybody got a good story to tell?
The firsts are, and specifically, because there's always firsts,
Right.
Was it you, Lacey, or somebody said that each milestone, those are firsts. So you're never going to get past the firsts, I don't think. There's always going to be something. But that first year when you are just still in shock.
The year that everything changed, right?
Yeah.
It's like the first year that everything changed.
The year without a daddy, a husband.
And I think some of you guys had the same experience. Oliver died in October, so there was Halloween, then there was Thanksgiving, and then there was Christmas, and Ryder was born on January 1st.
Yes.
So there were they were all right there together. And then the funny thing is, when the spring break rolled around, I thought, shoo, I've gone through all of them, I'm done. Because Valentine's Day, too.
Yeah.
And they were all over. So in less than 6 months, I had finished those firsts.
I remember that my mom was living with us, and my family, I am not like this, but the rest, my mom and my sisters, they're the type that will decorate for the holiday like a month or two in advance. So as soon as on Thanksgiving Day, the Christmas tree is up, and Easter, everything is, bunnies and eggs and crosses. And so my mom was living with us, and September 30th, she's got all of the Halloween stuff up. And you know what's crazy? I mean, this is sick. But at the time I was like, oh, we should get tombstones and write our names on it with like something funny. I'm so glad that I did not do that. Because the very next day is when Hunter went into the hospital and then ended up dying. And I remember thinking, because I would drive home from the hospital and see the Halloween stuff in the yard. And I was like, I'm glad that she put all that stuff up now, because there's no way in hell I would have been decorating at all.
You dodged a bullet there.
And for the kids, talking about normalcy, they do want those things and consistency. If you've always decorated for
mine wanted to trick or treat and do all that, but I couldn't. I had no capacity or energy for decorations, and my mom doesn't live here, so we didn't do any decorations.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. My mom is the one that did it, and it was before he died. So
I definitely decorated for Halloween. He died on October 12th.
Yeah.
And I told you I went as the White Widow.
Yes.
Spider.
Not only did you do up Halloween, but you went in for the dark humor right away.
And I had a skeleton. We call him Scully. And he wears a hat, and he has the fake cigar, and he has Chucks on. And Ryder made me. He was very, very adamant he liked things to be the same. Like, where's the Christmas tree? And so I felt a lot
Cracking the whip.
He,
Get it up, Mom.
Hey, you know what? He is like that. He's like that still. Everybody thought I used to be the one that's cracking the whip on him. Oh, no. That's actually the reverse. He's hard on me.
But I do think, I'm glad that he, voiced that to you, because a lot of 6-year-olds wouldn't. They would be scared and waiting for you to, whatever, just go with whatever you were doing. But I do think that it was important for the kids, because life does go on. Even though our lives have been demolished and broken and we're not necessarily in the headspace, the kids need it, because life does go on.
Yeah.
And we don't want them to give up and sit and,
I remember struggling with the trick-or-treating, because we had the 3, and Frank and I would divide and conquer. So maybe he would run around with our son and his group, and then I would have the little one, and then Aislinn would be. And so, I was just really kind of scrambling on Halloween, because all 3 kids had different groups that they wanted to go around to, and then there's never anybody at the house. I mean, that's just it's just like the bowl out front, like free for all. Just take whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I sort of remember trying to figure out how. I mean, I ended up with my youngest with her preschool group. because, she had been injured. And so I was really kind of with her mostly. And I guess the big kids just went with friends. I'm trying to remember. But it was definitely hard to like coordinate where everybody's going. And
So
they're
you
young.
didn't have any
and
Halloween decorations up for
I don't think I decorated. I think they were bummed. I think they were like, "Where's the ghoul?" Or our ghoul actually was stolen the year prior. Some pranksters came and took our ghoul. But and I'd spent like $75-$80 on this humongous ghoul
Right.
at Party City.
It's such a funny word,
We're gonna
ghoul.
buy you a ghoul.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember them kind of being like, "Why can't we decorate?" And I just,
You just didn't have the energy.
I
Plus,
didn't
you
for
were-
Halloween because that was pretty soon after.
Yeah, you were
Halloween,
also dealing with physical.
I was probably still
issues.
having surgeries and things, so that didn't happen. But I do remember trick or treating with Karis for sure. She really wanted to do that. So
What'd you do, Holly?
Well, Toby died March 2nd, so I was trying to remember Halloween. I don't know. My first holiday was Easter, and we always I always put the bunnies.
One year we
The
did
bunnies
Easter at
out.
your house. What year was that?
we did Easter at
Remember
your
we
house.
did Easter at
or
your
was that
house?
Mother's Day?
That was Mother's Day.
It was?
I think it
Yeah.
was Mother's
I'm going to
Day.
assume that
But
was
she
before
had
I was
Easter
part of the
before
group.
the Easter stuff out.
But-
Maybe
okay.
You would have
So-
first been invited.
For Easter, actually, the first 2 years for Easter, I had friends that loaned us their lake house,
nice.
and my two of my good friends and all of our kids that had known each other from when they were little went to the lake house, and
Fun.
so again we were escaping.
Yeah.
But we did an egg hunt, and it was fun. I mean, it was different.
Yeah.
It was
Did you have
hard.
more family come in? Because I feel like those first. Well, and I lived near family.
I
Yeah,
had to travel to see them.
Yeah.
well, it was hard for me because I'm like, they were older. I mean, 11 and 14. So it wasn't like we're going to put on our Easter outfit and go on
Right.
like traditional. I don't know. I just was like, I can't do this. So I wanted to do something different. I still did their Easter basket. I still do their Easter
Yeah,
I
basket.
do too. I do.
do
He would
too.
be. He
So-
would be upset if it wasn't done. I think.
Sometimes I'm not sure the kids even knew it was Easter, and they just woke up and there was a basket. I know, it's sad.
But so yes,
So you went
Easter was
away
my
for
first
Easter.
holiday, and then Mother's Day, and we were together.
I can't remember.
Was that the first or second?
Was that the first Mother's Day?
No.
I think it. No.
No, because I had not
I didn't
connected
know
with
you
yet.
until the fall.
It was our
till
second
September.
Mother's Day.
Yeah.
That was really fun. Our boys were together and they didn't really know each other. So, and I remember that Thomas and Ryder played chess.
Okay.
So they really connected over chess because they both love that game. And so I thought that was kind of fun. And unfortunately, our kids don't really ever hang out. They go to different schools. And I always wish that it had been different. I always just wish that,
I know. I do think, Thomas, Kira's son, just did this great podcast for school. And he interviewed a couple of our kids. And
It's called Dealing with Death.
Yes, Dealing with Death, which is such
You
a
can
great
listen.
name.
It's really
such a great
good.
name. Yeah, and he's talking to kids who lost a parent.
Your kids.
Yeah, my kids. And then another kid.
Yeah. Another kid from
There are lots of kids out there, sadly, that have lost a parent. But it was really interesting. But I was listening to them talk and I was thinking, they could have really had a great relationship, because there is something to be said for being around people just like we are
absolutely
that have suffered the same trauma. And my kids were older, and I tried to take them to can't remember the name of the grief place here in Austin.
Christie Center or My
I think
Healing
it was
Place,
It was Christie
which
Center,
is now the Grief Center.
Yeah, it was Christie Center, and I took them because I wanted them to have they had little grief support groups for kids. Well, the kids were like 6, 7,
Yeah.
and my kids are 11 and 12. I don't even think Sydney went, but it was awkward, and I was sad that they didn't have somebody. And Hayden came home after talking with Thomas, and he was like, it was really nice to have a conversation with someone who understood what we go through. And
the podcast is great. Thomas did it for his senior project at St. Andrews, and
I think that's a great idea.
It is. Is he going to keep it up? I know he's got a lot going on.
He's traveling, and then he's got college.
I mean, he's got his condoms.
He's got his.
He's going to be traveling.
Traveling.
I didn't actually see them go in the back. He would just die right now.
Teasing. Sorry, this out.
We'll cut it out, Thomas.
Oh man, that's funny. But
the ladies like him, so I just was like,
he's
be prepared.
so personable.
He's charming.
Be prepared.
But I love that my kids had a chance to talk with someone. And strangely, my daughter has 2 roommates who lost a parent, and then her girlfriend lost her dad. And so
why wouldn't they want a posse
thing.
like we did? I mean,
exactly. Well, it's
people that understand.
Yes, and one of her roommates, her mom died between her freshman and sophomore year, and so Sydney was living with her freshman year, and then was with her when her mom died, or was living with her, and that person felt very comfortable showing her pain in front of Sydney. And that, as we all know, is so valuable because we have to mask it a lot of the time because it's overwhelming.
Really bury it. A lot of these kids really bury those feelings.
Yeah.
And they don't feel comfortable being vulnerable. Sometimes even with a therapist, they don't
I think
really want to open
some of the questions that Thomas asked Hayden, he had never even thought about, like, dug into those feelings or thoughts. He says on the podcast, I just kind of pushed it away.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's good. What my boys have done somewhat. Gabe, when Gabe's friend died a couple months ago, he will not go to a therapist. And I kind of think back to, I'm definitely more vulnerable now with them. But I think back to when we're talking about first, I had a real hard time how to deal with them. Like
the kids.
Just Toby's birthday, for instance.
How to deal with the first.
Like how to talk about it. Because I was never, I don't know, I guess I wasn't taught to be open about it. So I'm trying to be more open with my kids now. And if I could go back, I'd probably do his birthday different.
I remember talking to friends and family when those kind of the birthdays and things arose. And I said, I just want it to be organic. If we're going to talk about him, I want it to just kind of come up naturally, like a story about dad. I didn't want to sit down and force, on the birthday, let's all tell a story or a memory or something. I was trying to just let it be. But that's because they were so little. And I think now we sometimes will say, let's talk about a memory, once they're older and they're more mature. I think you can do that. But in the beginning, I was like, I don't know how to bring it up without it being sort of forced and awkward.
That's how I felt.
I would say things like, as far as like his birthday, I would just be like, hey guys, it's Dad's birthday. Like the first birthday. I'm like, hey guys, so your dad's birthday is this week. Actually, on his birthday, the first year, we did a memorial.
When's his birthday?
The 27th of January.
Okay.
And so we did his parents and I threw a memorial for him at Stubbs, and Campbell's little band played music.
That's
and
fun.
It was really fun.
Nice.
Except for I humiliated myself. I had too much bourbon because I don't drink it. And then it was Bullet because that was Hunter's drink. So everyone's giving me Bullet bourbon. And I got up to speak and I was like, is this thing on? Okay, everybody. Don't forget to tip your waiters.
If anybody can pull it off,
no,
you can, Whitney.
I can't. To this day, I still can't watch it because I am humiliated.
That's awesome.
And I had a whole thing written out, but I went off book and I was just like, so anyway, everybody. I'm sure people were like, what the heck? I blame the bourbon.
That's your go-to, though.
My go-to
because that's
is
how
comedy.
We met you. When I met you for the first time, I remember you, because Kira and I even talked about it. I don't know if we said, I think as y'all were closer, I was like, she just seemed so happy. Like I was a miserable wreck.
You were super upbeat.
That's my go-to. And,
yeah,
and
now
I've
that
said
I
it
know
before,
you better, I get it.
The toxic positivity. My brain says we're not going to dwell on that. So let's not even process it and move straight into the blessings. So it's not always the best. There needs to be moderation. And then the comedy, I go to comedy. When I'm uncomfortable, you'll know when I'm super uncomfortable because I literally start saying things like tip your waiter.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Anyway.
And now we know what to watch out for.
But for the first, so we did that on his birthday for his first birthday. But I would tell the kids, hey, so your dad's birthday is this weekend. I was going to make chicken fried steak because that was his favorite. Is there anything else you guys think we need to do? Or would you rather go out to eat? But I would like to, honor that day because it's a really special day for me. And then they'd be like, oh yeah, no problem.
I think a lot of it is, like you were saying, food. We always make strawberry shortcake. Frank's birthday is actually this Sunday, June 11th.
Oh, happy
and
birthday, Frank.
we always have strawberry shortcake. We always kind of maybe do something that he would want to do, an activity. And I think that's a really nice way to honor them. And yeah, I mean, throw it out to the kids.
Yeah, and we would get with his parents too. That's always a go-to for me because they live close by. And
I don't
then
think
it's just,
we ever did anything for his birthday. Ryder was only 6, and I don't know. I mean, there's not really much a 6-year-old can do.
yeah. So you don't acknowledge it now?
Well, we talk about hey, it's his birthday today, and Ryder has a dark sense of humor too. Sometimes he says things that are wildly inappropriate. I'm like, please don't tell somebody outside our family.
Right.
And he said, "You want to look like Dad?" He goes, "That's
Oh
terrible."
yeah, no,
Like he's in the casket.
right.
I know.
That's
We
horrible.
do that,
Oh.
but
But you have to
okay.
That's being a kid.
Ryder
That's kids.
also does not remember that much. Like I used to think it was somehow he had buried it, but he had a therapist. His name is Sean Kent. I'm going to give him a shout out. He is the most amazing person I've ever met in my life. He's just a wonderful therapist, and he said it's not buried. He does. That's not what.
It's not there.
Have to
It's not
process it
there.
the same way. Yeah.
He said, I think he did that when he was young, but every age, it's just how they process is very different. And he said, I don't know what I don't know.
And is that hard for you? Because it's sort of hard for me with my youngest, who really doesn't, outside of photos and movies and things.
I really thought about it because Kira and I did the same thing, which I think is really weird. We didn't even talk about it. I don't think, did we?
I don't know what you're about to say.
The watch thing for graduation,
it?
Kira and I both gave our husbands' watches
right.
and had them engraved.
Yeah.
And the song that reminds Oliver, Ryder and I were on a trip to Boston because he's going to go to Northeastern, and we were going to a restaurant, and the song "Every Breath You Take" came on, and he said, "Who does this remind you of?" And I didn't have to say, we knew.
right.
So to be kind of funny, on the inside I put "I'll be watching you"
Oh my God.
because it's a watch
That's so cute.
and love Dad, and that's the only time I've ever seen him get misty-eyed when I gave it to him. And he said, oh, he thought it was new, which is kind of funny. I was like,
that's funny.
I'm not buying you a new
Right.
Breitling. Sorry. I
Right.
mean, Mama needs to pay for college now.
Right.
So, but I said, look on the inside. He looked on the inside, and he got really watery eyes. And so I had to cut it off because I was like, I didn't know that it was going to do that to him
Right.
because he doesn't
And
ever
didn't
go
either.
there.
He didn't either.
I had something like, I think I just had for Thomas, Love Dad, but I said Love Dad too. And then I think I was in a conversation with somebody about, is that odd? Because obviously his dad's not.
Yeah.
And I said no, because
I love
for
that.
me, it was like we were both
loves
giving
his
him the
dad.
watch, Like
Yeah.
it's like Frank and I were giving him the watch together.
Sure. And I tell my kid, I mean, y'all know me. I talk to the kids all the time about he's not really gone. It's just like he's here in a different way. So I don't think it's weird. He is their dad. And I remember Hunter's
And
mom
they'll
saying,
always be their dad.
Yeah, I remember early on, Hunter's mom said something to me like, oh, well, I was talking to some people that we just met, and they asked if we had children, and I said I had 2 sons. And then I felt like I had to stop and say, well, I have 1 living son and 1 dead son. And I go, no, you don't. You have 2 sons.
Yeah.
You will always have 2 sons, and you don't have to make one of them past tense. Same thing with the dad. That is their dad, and he will always be the dad. And
I agree. I think
the first father. Oh well, we're going to talk about Father's Day at the end, but I did.
Ryder
something a
said
little
something
weird.
that really bothered me in the beginning because at first I thought, oh, that's a great way to channel it. I was talking about when his dad's death. I guess it was the year anniversary. We released balloons with things we would tell him with the little notes, and did that whole thing with my family. And he said, I said, well, what do you think about all of this? And he said, in my mind, he's on vacation.
Aw.
And I was like, but he would want to be with you. He didn't leave you.
Yeah.
He couldn't help it. So it's a double-edged sword. Part of me is like glad that he wasn't grieving because he was like, Dad's just away. He's having a fun time. But I said, but your dad would have never left you.
I do think it's interesting, the adult brain and the child brain. And I know for me, what causes me a lot of pain is when I try to put my brain on them and my experiences and my relationships and my whatever, and they aren't processing it in the same way. So to him, maybe the vacation wasn't he left me intentionally. It's more he's okay and I'll see him again someday.
I think it was a way of
and
coping.
he's having a good time.
Yeah.
Wherever he is, he's
well,
good,
unless he's on a
right?
trip.
Well, I remember,
Is it a vacation or a trip?
we did some family therapy, the three of us, and it was coming up on the year anniversary. And she asked the boys, what would your dad want you to do? And they said, have fun. And so they decided, we had friends over. Well, I'll back up. But so they had friends over, and they went to the trampoline place.
Yeah.
Altitude.
that's fun.
Which felt awkward, but that's what they wanted to do. And
but your Toby was fun though, wasn't he? He was the fun guy.
Well, and then that day, which
perfect.
y'all were there, my thing for me without the boys, we did the ride,
The spin class.
the spin class with all his music and all his friends.
You made me sit in the front row, right in the front row.
Because you're so good.
Just kidding.
But that was,
I loved the
It was
playlist.
healing for me.
I thought the playlist was
all his
amazing. I
favorite-
wish I had done something like that.
So that was the first anniversary of his death that you
right,
did that.
which I don't necessarily acknowledge it. I mean, you can't forget about it, but I don't acknowledge it anymore.
I don't either.
I don't either. I don't either. The first year I
just
did.
a day. People would reach out and I would say, well, the first year fell on Father's Day, which we'll get to later. That was awful. But subsequently, I would just say, it's just a day. Like, it's just one day. I'm just going to get through the day, and then tomorrow it's over.
Yeah, you don't want to give any energy to that.
That's kind of how
I'd rather give energy to his birthday and our anniversary and the fun things. But the first year,
that was my approach
we
for sure.
did.
Let's celebrate the birthday, not the day that he died.
Lacey, did you do something on the first death anniversary?
We released the balloons.
Oh, that was the balloon.
We did too, but it was Father's Day combined, unfortunately. So June 21st, that first year, was Father's Day and the anniversary of the accident. And we gathered with families and did the balloons too.
I kind of had a balloon moment too, but we went to New Mexico and did the hot air balloon festival.
Oh, that's fun.
Because his parents were living in New Mexico at the time. And that was fun. And
I've
we
heard
were
good
with
things
his
about that.
parents. Yeah, it was great. You had to get up at the crack of dawn. But who are the people, the Magnolia people that live in Waco, Chris and the Gaines? They were there.
Oh, that's
so that was
funny.
kind of cool. But anyway, yeah, and then his parents did one of those cairns with the stones, in their front yard.
neat.
I like
So
that,
we did that.
But they moved.
Now they've moved. So yeah, those rocks
They
are
didn't
long
take them
gone.
with them.
No.
The only one I
didn't.
get upset about is the wedding anniversary. When people stopped acknowledging that, it was like,
Well, and you just had one, and I feel like a total
June 2nd.
jerk
I know.
because I had it
forgot
on the calendar, and then I didn't.
Same.
I'm the
I
worst
didn't
at
remember.
that kind of stuff. So that's
Well,
why I had to
happy
be forgiving of
anniversary.
other people
Yeah, it
too.
would have been 22 years, I think. Yeah.
That's a really hard one, right? The anniversary, because when you see other couples that are celebrating it, and you're like, I would have had that milestone, and
And I think all four of us do feel that way. Like, we really felt like this isn't a dig on divorced people or anything like that, but we've all talked about how we just really felt like our marriages were
people.
solid, and we would definitely have made it.
My anniversary is Friday. it would have been 28 years.
Oh, wow.
And I am going out with the boys to a nice dinner.
Nice.
Nice. Isn't it nice? They're older now and you can do that.
Yeah, that
That's
kind of started
fun.
that last year, or maybe like going to like somewhere nice. I don't know.
love
But I had a hard time with it because I was like, I kind of want to go somewhere that was like a
Your
place we
place.
love to go, but
Don't wanna
everything's kinda
spend it.
changed,
Yeah.
or I'm like, they wouldn't want to eat that. You know, like
I know. I in the past, like for the first anniversary, it was June too, and Father's Day and all that, and that's when we went to Mexico with friends. They had a timeshare, and so we went there, and it was like, okay, this is a way to be with people and celebrate and not feel sad about it. But honestly, this year I didn't even think about doing something. And if I did, I don't know that I'd want to do it with my kids.
So the anniversary thing?
Yeah, the anniversary.
I don't know that I do anything. My sister, who's wonderful about it, she always acknowledges it.
Well, when is it?
That's
I'll
sweet.
put it in my calendar and then forget to
No,
text you like I
September-
did Kira.
September 23rd, it was 2001.
All right.
What about Christmas, you guys? I mean, that was for me with kids. That was huge. The first Christmas,
Like, who puts the toys together?
right?
I was like, I am
that was
so
terrible.
screwed because
Yeah.
I'm not good at that kind of thing, and I don't like reading directions. And
and you had it hard because you were really in the toy.
oh my God, these toys! I bought all of them, and a lot of them I bought in the summer because if a
you're
sale
a
comes
planner.
up, and if there's a sale or something,
Yeah.
particularly when we were in Germany, we would bring back some of the Legos that they have and
I
some
was
of
going
the
to say
toys.
the Legos are big.
So
with
yeah,
toys,
so
for
a
sure.
lot of it I would plan ahead because we'd go visit in the summer, and I would bring those back. And thank God for my brother-in-law who's an engineer. He would that first Christmas they decided to come to my parents' house with us. So the night before, here he is helping me put it all together, and because I literally came out there and just started sobbing. I was like, I don't like to read directions.
Yeah.
I don't like to put toys together. This is not my wheelhouse. And I don't know what I'm going to do. And my dad is like me. He does not like to read directions. He likes to just figure it out. Well, we weren't figuring it out.
Well, and there's this I don't know about you, but I felt this overwhelming like heaviness on Christmas Eve because it was just so apparent that I was alone. And I wasn't alone. My mom was with me, but it's not
Friend.
the same. And yeah, I can't really even remember Christmas.
I couldn't be in the
honestly.
house. I didn't do the toys or anything.
I didn't either.
We went
Karis
away.
didn't get any toys?
No, but I'll tell you a little story about
Sorry,
that.
Karis.
Tell me a little story.
I thought, okay, and everyone thought I was crazy, but I thought, okay, what is the most distracting place on earth
Oh, no.
Disneyland?
Oh,
for
no.
3 children?
Oh
no.
my gosh.
Disney
we did
World?
not.
Yes, ma'am. We went to
I
Disney,
can't believe
and
that.
I had a really dear friend who had worked at Disney, and I got on the phone with him, and he hooked us up with fast passes.
Oh, you
and
threw out
like
the dead husband card?
Frozen experience. So Karis
works.
had just turned 5. She also, I had almost lost my child also.
Right,
And
of
so it
course.
was kind of all about my 5-year-old. The older two had actually been to Disney with me and Frank. Well, I was pregnant with Karis, so she was
Still,
kind of
they
there
were
too.
still young enough to
But
have
she
a
hadn't
blast,
been,
sure.
and so we recruited this other wonderful family, friends of ours, and my parents went, and we went to Disney, and I was still.
too.
The funny thing about
did
that
too.
trip is I was still kind of crippled, and they kept trying to throw wheelchairs and canes and things
You
at
should
me.
have taken it.
And I
you
was
got
like,
in the front
I
of the line.
refuse to be one of those people at Disney that's on the cart or whatever. So I had my right arm was frozen straight. I had a really funny way of walking.
I think I would have worked that at Disney
Me
World.
too.
I would,
That
well,
would've
we
been
did. We got
fabulous.
into everything. No, Karis saw every single princess. She went to the front of the line. Every single
Phineas and Ferb.
character.
Because we went January 1st.
Is that the picture on
We went
Instagram?
2.5
Yeah.
months later, and Phineas and
Oh.
Ferb. Yeah, so
I forgot.
Wait,
I
she was
did
all about
Disneyland for
Frozen.
Christmas.
She was
I
all
forgot
about
about that.
Frozen, and it was all about. I couldn't wait to get
course
to
she was.
Epcot where they had alcohol. My friend and I were like, "Where can we drink?" And we get to Epcot, But yeah, it was funny. I was kind of lurching
While she's
around.
like Clifford.
I was lurching around
They
Disney.
thought you were drunk.
They probably thought I was like a Disney character with my arm that wouldn't bend and my funny way of walking. And we had a stroller for Karis, but she didn't really go in the stroller too much. But yeah,
Did you
so
do
that's
the
what we did. It's kind of
characters?
insane.
We had Goofy and Mickey Mouse give him his birthday it was January 1st. It was right after Christmas. We waited to do Christmas there and then left to go to Disney World, and that just made him so happy.
I know.
But the whole time I was there, I have pictures. That one, I look at it and my eyes are like vacant.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
I mean, I was just like,
Yeah.
We did that Beauty and the Beast dinner. And I mean, my friend Laura was there with her family. And I mean, we had a lot of laughs because that was just bizarre with the beast and coming around. And anyway, it was just an odd time. But
Well, y'all
I also was very vacant for most of that trip.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the one thing that
Kids loved it.
you need to show yourself grace that first year. You're not gonna be present. You know, even when you have small children that need you, you're suffering and grieving and shock. You're in shock.
of course.
But y'all reminded me, I went to Disneyland. I forgot.
For
After
Christmas?
After
Oh, after.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Because Hunter's
I
brother.
tried to forget.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Hunter's brother lived in California still, and we had just moved away from there. So we went right after Christmas to LA and stayed at my friend's place, went to Disneyland with Hunter's
Funny
whole
that we all
family.
did Disney. You
Yeah.
were in Orlando like I
Yep.
was.
I did.
I did not.
Anaheim.
You did not do
Disney.
Disney.
You were
I-
smart.
It's not too late.
We've done Disney so many times when they were younger. So the last time we went to Disney, everybody was old enough to ride a roller coaster, and I was like, check.
Yeah,
Um,
way more
but
fun.
we went to Mexico
Yeah.
with our best friends in California, Medicine, Mexico, but I did stockings and some gifts. Like Santa came
Yeah.
early before we left, so I did the traditional.
We had a condo in Florida, and my other sweet, sweet friend, Tutu, sent a little mini tree to the
that's so
condo.
nice.
Oh, that's
And
cute.
I just kind of put the kids didn't know we were going to Disney. And so I kind of put, they just thought we were doing Florida. And I put the Disney passes or whatever on the tree.
that's
And then
cute.
my
That's
friend
very
had sent some
cute.
little gift cards and things. And so we did have a little bit of a tree, but it really wasn't traditional at all. I couldn't do it. I couldn't be in the house.
Couldn't either.
I couldn't.
And
do
I
that.
couldn't even, I mean, we
Too
go to
painful.
my sister's a lot, and I couldn't even, and we also had lost my dad, had died that same year. So it was like double doozy. And I was just like, I can't.
Well, and then your family is grieving. Like
Right.
your mom is grieving her husband, and your
Right.
sister is grieving her dad and Toby.
Right.
So it's like the people that would normally be the
Right.
ones lifting you up and have the energy to do it, they are also
They
suffering.
did come to our house after we got back from Mexico, I think. Like, it's such
It's a blur.
such a blur, but I think they came to do Christmas late. But yeah, it was just bad for all around for the whole family.
I
Yeah.
don't think people realize how, if they're not a widow or a widower, they don't realize how lonely it is.
Mhm.
Like it's just like, this is taking me back, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, those are very clear feelings. And I'm so glad that it's been a lot of time since then, 11 and a half years. I'm so glad I don't feel that way anymore. It's taken 10 years. I loved what was the girl you sent today that has a really great podcast?
Yes,
She's on Instagram.
I was going to
Heather-
give her.
I don't want to mispronounce her last name,
But I
we can
love what
share
she
that on
said.
our
She said it can be
Instagram.
10 years. And because a lot of people think, God, 11 and a half years, you should be good by now. And I went, honey, it took 10 years to feel like a normal person.
Yeah,
Like that because all of those new normals become normal then.
Right.
Like now it's like he's been gone longer than I was with him.
Mm.
So that's another thing that's weird.
yeah,
That's a first.
yeah.
When they've been gone longer than you've been with them.
Well, so we were Father's Day is this month. what did you? So you said it was Father's Day and your anniversary, or
The first year, the day of the accident, which was June 21st, was so my anniversary is June is rough for me. My anniversary is the 2nd of June, and then Frank's birthday is the 11th of June, and then Father's Day is always kind of in there, and the accident was on the 21st of June. So that first year, just, lucky me, Father's Day landed on the same day that we had the accident, that he had died.
and
that
so what
first
did
year.
you do?
That was the gathering of the families where we
Release the
we
balloons?
released the balloons, and I would say that from here on out, it's mostly been mostly getting together with my dad, I would say. But there's also things where kids are in camps, and we're not always together on Father's Day just because of the time of year. We're not
Right.
always, and there have been times where my kids have been with other families or they've been at a camp, and I've had to reach out and say, hey, just a heads up, this is a tricky thing for my kid. And, but yeah, the first birthday, actually, June 11th, right before the Father's Day, was kind of more our Father's Day because we went to Water Sound with another family, and the kids wrote, happy birthday, Daddy, in the sand, and they wrote, we love you, we miss you in the sand, and that was kind of a nice therapeutic moment that we all had. And then my friend that was with us made the strawberry shortcake from scratch because she's like an amazing cook, and I would have gone and bought something. But so yeah, that was a nice moment, and I think the kids really, I don't know, I think they enjoyed that.
No, I like that. I don't know what I was thinking, but I had the kids. This is so weird. I bought Father's Day cards and I had the kids sign them. What in the world? I don't know. And then they did all that, and then what am I going to do with the cards?
Take it to wherever you've got him buried.
Yeah,
I think that might have
stuck
been
it in
confusing
on the
for mine.
bookshelf.
That's why I'm saying
they
I
were
like
young.
what you
They were
did.
young.
Something in the sand or
Yeah.
And we took
write in the
pictures. I
letter
took pictures of them
yeah.
with the writing in the sand. And I was
Yeah,
like,
that's
Daddy can
sweet.
see. But they were little. They were, 5, 9, and 11.
But you have to forgive yourself too. I mean, it's not like you've been a widow before.
No,
Like,
oh girl, I did so many weirdo things.
We are just making it up.
I
as we
think
go
I-
along. Still making it up as we go along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one year I bought some little journals and for each boy, and I was like, y'all can write some stories about Dad, and
Yeah, I did that.
it didn't.
No, they
that-
never. One kid wrote one.
I mean, if
story.
they did, I don't know about it, but I doubt
Yeah.
it. But I
you
tried.
anything.
I mean, I
Yeah.
tried. I mean,
How do you know what to? I mean, we went to see my dad because my dad and my son are really close. But this is the first year we're not going to be able to do that because he's working and they live out of state. So, like, I put it on Instagram. Then I went, wait a minute, we aren't getting to go. This is our first year in all of those years, in 11 years that we haven't gone because he's got a job.
Yeah, 'cause
which
they're
hey,
older now.
At least he's got a job.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
at the same time, don't
Yeah.
get to.
I mean-
So I don't know what we're gonna do.
I'm curious, and then we need to wrap it up. But did the balloons? Do you feel like the balloons, releasing the balloons, was that therapeutic for your kids? Because I hear about that a lot. I didn't do it, but I was just curious.
I was completely medicated that day. I think they had put me on my psychiatrist at the time had put me on some antidepressants, which there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it was almost too much, and I was just out of it. But I did hear from friends. I was there, but I wasn't there,
Right.
and I didn't actually do. The friends kind of took over the writing. I mean, I know that sounds terrible. I guess I was completely checked out. But they said that my youngest, they said the kids really like put thought into what they were going to write. And I think they put the notes inside and then
balloons,
blew
yeah.
the balloons up and then released. This is terrible. I need to ask my friend Stephanie.
I have a
who
picture
hosted the party.
The picture that it's Ryder and I, like he's leaning back on me. That I
Yes,
put on
was
Instagram.
that it? Yes,
that's
that
it.
was the day.
I don't remember.
We just put it attached to the
I don't
bottom and
remember.
wrote it, but I remember him really getting into it.
Well, at that age, for sure. And yours were younger.
I think the idea of it's going up to heaven,
Right.
I do remember that was a big, that made sense to the kids.
Right.
We're sending this, I knew it was going to end up across town, like on a,
Ryder
telephone pole.
Overpass.
But they,
thought we were going to get in trouble because when the balloons popped, he goes, nobody's going to be there to clean it up. I made a note because I took notes all of these years. I actually took them before he was ever born, but I got so tickled because, of course, the way he thinks, instead of it's going to heaven to see daddy and it's so sweet, he's like, who's going to pick up all those balloons when it pops? I was like, oh no.
Well,
My
the
sweet
first are
moment.
definitely difficult, and everybody handles them differently. And however you choose to do it, it's good. It's okay. And
there is no right or wrong.
there's no right or wrong. And I do think it is important, especially with the kids, to acknowledge it, right? I mean, obviously, if it's a big holiday, you're not going to ignore it. But I think the four of us are saying consistency with the way you decorated or whatever before he died. It was important to continue that, but you don't have to do it exactly the same because that causes stress.
And you can change it up from year to year. I mean,
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't know what I was going to do, and I would, if I could go back, I might do it different. But
And also, I just wanted to jump in with, please don't compare yourself to the other families in these moments, because I think there's so much pressure on these moms, with the matching pajamas and
Oh my
everything,
gosh.
the gourmet meal or whatever it is.
true.
And I still feel that. I just felt that honestly through this whole graduation process.
Man,
It was just like, I got to give myself a break. I'm not ever going to be able to be at that level that I was at before when I
I'm
had
not sure
a
I was
husband.
even at that level before he died.
Well, some of these women,
people are
there's
so
no
souped
getting to
up,
that level
like
ever.
The
But-
matching pajamas with the monogram.
I tried.
didn't do that.
I
before.
tried it, and they were like, "We're not wearing this."
I don't know. That's really been something that's been on my mind lately is just, these other moms doing all this stuff, they forget. They don't realize what else you're carrying and that you're just not going to be able to get to all the things and do all the things and, just be kind of like maybe as organized or as on it as you were. And I mean, I'm talking still, like it's coming up on 9 years for us. I'm still not as organized or on top of everything as these other families are.
Well, even when they were alive, you have 3 kids. You two have 3 kids. You have 2, and I have 1. I'm tired with 1. I can't even imagine doing it by myself with 2 or 3. So anybody that would ever be like having expectations is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, cut yourself some slack.
Like you said, we're down a man.
If you're wearing
literally.
pajamas at all, you're winning.
We're down. We're
don't-
down 4 fabulous men
Yeah.
in this room.
Yeah.
If mine had a pull-up on and a T-shirt, yes,
You are
Sunday
winning.
morning
Yeah.
is or Christmas morning
Definitely.
comes out.
True.
Yay!
Definitely.
If they're fed,
Yay me!
Exactly. So
right.
we thank you so much for listening. And if you like what you're hearing, or if you don't like what you're hearing, why don't you, send us a comment, or if you have topics that you'd like for us to address here on Every Widow Thing, we would love to hear from you at Every Widow Thing on Instagram. You also, when you're listening to this podcast, if you have the time and feel inclined to do so, write a review for us. We are a new podcast. We're trying to get ourselves out there and help as many people as possible. And when we have likes and followers and reviews, that just helps us get our message out. So
and we love
appreciate
hearing that, maybe something we shared, touched someone else.
that. Yes, we're
We
getting
love hearing
a lot of texts and emails from people that are listening, sharing with us how our words are helping them. So
That's the point.
that is the point. So thank you. And we'll be back next week. Oh, no. I'll actually.
We're
we're
taking
taking
a
a break. We're going on
Scratch that.
vacation.
You're looking at me, Holly. Why don't you say it?
She's
We
coming
are
back next
taking-
week.
I'm coming
Yes.
back next week.
Whitney
Just
will
it.
be back next week.
No, I
jet lag
forgot.
will be over.
We're going to take a break for the summer, and we will be back in September for more fun episodes.
Yeah. So stick around. and follow us. And we'll still be posting things on Instagram.